Halo Wars 2 is upon us, and while the original was an underrated hit, some of you might not know much about the sequel. I'm Andrew the New Guy, and today here in gameranx, we're here to talk about 5 things you need to know about Halo Wars 2. Starting off with number 5, we have the story. Halo Wars 2 takes place 28 years after the events of Halo Wars, and shortly after Halo 5. The USNC ship Spirit of Fire had been floating in space for decades, with its crew in cryosleep. 28 years later, they awakened to find themselves above Installation 00, which is a Forerunner installation. And for those of you who may need a quick refresher, Installation 00 is like the Forerunner installation. It's where all other Halo installations across the galaxy can be activated from, so yeah, it's pretty important. Like I said before, the crew's been out of commission for 28 years, so they're unaware of the result of the Human Covenant War, and they head down to the surface of Installation 00 to make contact with the USNC and make an effort to return home. It's here that Captain James Cutter and his crew encounter the Banished, a mercenary faction led by brute warlord Atriox. The game spans across a 13-mission campaign where you'll be fighting against the Banished in an attempt to gain control of Installation 00. The game does have a self-contained story, so if you didn't play the first Halo Wars, you won't feel lost jumping into this game. Up next, number 4, we have game modes. Like I just said before, Halo Wars 2 has a 13-mission single-player campaign and a variety of multiplayer modes that can be played with up to 6 players. There's Blitz Mode, which we'll get to in a different point. There's Deathmatch, where players are working to kill off each other's team, and I'm sure you're all familiar with how Deathmatch works. Skirmish, which is a solo or co-op mode where you play against waves of AI opponents. And then there's Stronghold and Domination that are both centered around controlling different bases, nodes, or areas around the map. The multiplayer in Halo Wars 2 is a bit more fast-paced than your average RTS game, so if you're a Halo fan who just wants to jump in, play a quick match or two, then dip out, you can do that. I mean, the matches here are still longer than your average game of Halo Deathmatch, but it's still not as long as other RTS games. So if you're just in the mood for another Halo game, you can jump right into this, you'll be fine. Up next, number 3, we have Blitz Mode. Blitz Mode is one of the new multiplayer modes that you'll be getting with Halo Wars 2, and it's definitely the most interesting one. It plays like a domination mode where you're fighting to control different points around the map, but the twist here is that the mode is actually card-based. So before starting a game of Blitz, you'll have to build yourself a deck, and as you play the game, you'll get more cards to build that deck with. You get additional cards from Blitz Packs, which can be acquired with in-game currency, which can be earned by playing multiplayer and completing daily and weekly challenges, or it can be purchased with real money. So after starting a round, you're dealt your hand and the fight begins. You'll be playing vehicle, unit, and power-up cards, and after playing a unit or vehicle card, that vehicle or unit pops up on the map and is now in your control. The cards you play are controlled by energy, which generates over time, or it can be acquired by drop pods that appear on the map. I think this sounds really interesting, and seeing that you're dealt a random hand at the beginning of the round, it really does change how every single game is played, and you really have to adapt on the fly to what happens on the playing field. I'm a huge fan of card games like Hearthstone and Gwent, so I really like Blitz Mode. Adding this card aspect to an already fun game like this is definitely something for someone like me to check out and play. I'm definitely going to be spending more time with Blitz Mode, and I can't wait to see what else it has to offer. Up next, number 2, we have the developer. One thing worth noting is that the developers of the first Halo Wars, Ensemble Studios, didn't return to develop Halo Wars 2. Ensemble did actually start working on the narrative for a sequel to Halo Wars, but unfortunately was shut down before making it past that stage of development. In 2007, after Bungie parted ways with Microsoft, 343 Industries was put together. Microsoft put this team together to handle all the Halo titles that would be releasing from that point forward. Their first game was Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, and has handled every release since then, some of those being collaborations with other developers. In 2014, after approaching Creative Assembly, the team behind the Total War series, both teams came together to collaborate on Halo Wars 2. Creative Assembly had been looking to create an RTS for the console, and this was the perfect opportunity to do so. And they were the team behind Alien Isolation, so they had console experience, so the partnership made perfect sense. But even though Halo Wars 2 was made by 2 teams that didn't work on the first one, it is a very good addition and a great next step for the series. And finally, at number 1, we have Xbox Play Anywhere. Halo Wars 2 will support Microsoft's Play Anywhere. For those who don't know what that is or how it works, when you purchase Halo Wars 2 digitally from the Microsoft Store, you'll have access to both an Xbox One copy and a PC copy as well. You'll also be able to transfer your saves, add-ons, and achievements back and forth between the 2 platforms. One cool thing to note is that if you are playing on PC, you can use an Xbox controller or you can play with mouse and keyboard. But 343 has said that they are the same game. Everything you can do in the PC version of the game, you can do in the Xbox One version of the game. But of course, since it is on PC, there you will have the ability to customize your controls and also be able to play around with your visual settings. I love the idea of Xbox Play Anywhere, and I'm excited to see more and more games get added to this library. So those are 5 things you need to know about Halo Wars 2. But I want to hear from you guys. Meet me down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. Have any of you gotten to play it yet, and what are your thoughts on it? Are you guys liking it? Do you dislike it? And did I miss anything in this video? And hitting that like button really does help us out, and in case you guys didn't know, we put up videos like this every single day, and the best way to get them is with a subscription to the channel. Once again, I'm Andrew the New Guy, and I'll see you next time right here on gameranx.